The NFL draft is almost a week away, and as the Carolina Panthers sit at pick number 8, we got to hear from Dan Morgan. I am here to give you the lowdown on every bit of information that we heard. Stay tuned.
Brace yourself for the ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome in, folks, to another edition of the Two Growls One Roar podcast, your pre-draft edition. I am excited to have the draft over. The draft is my least favorite time of the year as a content creator, which sounds crazy. It's just the way I do things, man. I like film. I like the NFL. I love college football, all those things, but I hate this 3, 4, 5 month speculation period. Tons of things change, tons of mock drafts. I just want to see who you pick. We'll figure it out. The team will be put together, and we'll start to play some football and really get into the nitty-gritty of what I like. So I went through I listened to this press conference 3 times. Then I took the transcript out, put it in, got my notes, put it in kind of a tweet summary format for you guys. No, I haven't tweeted this out. I have tweeted out bits and pieces. But we're going to go through every bit of information that we learned today. So, of course, this is primarily focused on getting you ready for the NFL draft, what we learned for the Carolina Panthers, maybe where their priorities are. We already made another video about the potential of them trading back, but we are here today to start talking about, hey, there may be other little nuggets. Panthers GM welcomed everyone, thanked everyone that's involved in the draft process, continuing to emphasize a collaborative approach. We've been there. We've done that. Shortly after that, confirmation that the Panthers' first-round selection, which will happen on Thursday, will be introduced to the team, to you guys, the pressers, all the fun stuff that they do on Friday, which guarantees the Carolina Panthers are going to be picking in the first round. Now, is that pick going to be pick number 8? Maybe. Is it going to be pick 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 30? I don't know. But yeah, even as we talk about trade back scenarios, it's pretty clear Panthers aren't going to move out of the first round. So you will have a first round selection here. Now, the theme of this press conference, because it was mentioned 4 times, at least maybe 5, was the concept of trading back. Panthers are open to trading back. Put it on the headlines. Trading back is a possibility. We are open for business. Tell the world, get the message out. Problem is, everyone else is open to that too. Everyone else wants to move back. I broke it down in the other segment. If you guys have not had a chance to listen to it, you can. But if you missed it, when you talk about pick 5, 6, all the way down to 17, 18, 19, maybe 20, the group of 12, 13, 14 guys right there, all about the same. The guy that you get at XY at the front of this draft, the guy you get towards the end of the first round, probably the same level of talent. Now, different needs, different positions. We know the Panthers, those pass rushers, edge, hard to come by, going to get scooped up quick. First round wide receivers, probably scooped up pretty quickly, at least 2 or 3 of them. No need to worry about quarterback. Top tight end talent, maybe off the board as well. Safety, absolutely available for the Panthers. So there's room for the Panthers to work. It's just going to be a matter of, is someone, if they want to move back, going to be able to do it? Now, in emphasis, because we got to talk a little bit about free agency, Morgan acknowledged the strength of the front 7 in the draft. Front 7 talent in the NFL draft on top of what we already have. So it's a deep draft on the defensive front. We know that's the focus of the Panthers. They want to bring in competition. They want to do the same thing that they did on offense to the defensive side of the ball. That's where it sits. And this is a really good draft to be able to do that. Probably heavily focused on defense. He did get into some takes around wide receiver as well, with the potential still having somebody there, third round, getting a viable option. Now, no rush. Remember, we're approaching Ike Ekwonu's 5th-year extension option, the ability to pick up his 5th year. And at the time, there's no rush on getting this. Of course, there's talks of an extension. They have until May 1st. So just know, door is closing as I look at my calendar to those that are watching on video, which you can watch on Spotify as well as YouTube. So it's coming up fast. I'm recording this mid-April. So we're talking like 2 weeks away from the May 1st deadline. So the decision to be made. There's a lot of questions that come up about prospects in college and production. And there's actually a really good question about the Panthers. Do they prioritize players with college production? And he said, yes, you don't want to draft guys that weren't productive in college. What does that mean? Does that rule out a Shamar Stewart? Does that rule out a Mykel Williams? Does it rule out some of the guys that maybe did not have the gaudy numbers that you would expect from a top producer? Does it then check the box for some of the guys who did really well? A Green, the edge out of Boston College. Does it now put those guys in consideration for the number 8 overall pick? I don't know. I think when you talk about production, of course, we think about numbers. We think about sacks, tackles, this. It's a little more than that, which I think is the importance of film. It's baffling to me. I looked at a tweet. I don't even know if it was Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport. It's one of those guys put out a tweet about the Los Angeles Rams GM, who's now in Jacksonville. And these guys don't bring in players for top 30 visits. They are so good at what they do. They just analyze. And remember, I think some of these guys even skip combine. It's wild to me to not have top 30 visits, to just evaluate film, not ask those additional questions, learn what you want, make a decision, and move. It's wild. It really is. Now, when we talk about pick number 8, if the Panthers stay, Morgan reiterated the Panthers won't box themselves in. They're open to all possibilities, including trade back or staying put. Now, when he talks about staying put later in this, he talks about being stuck. When you tell me that you are stuck, that means you're in the mud, you can't get out. You're like, why am I here? There's no escape. Sure, I guess I'll pick somebody. I've got a list. It's not my first selection. Might be my second or third. We're stuck here. It's me and you. Oh, well, we're going to pick you up. Not a good spot to be in. But he did feel good about the team's direction and ability to add good pieces and build depth, aiming to dominate the line of scrimmage, which, of course, always what we expect. Line of scrimmage has to be important. The assessment of the wide receiver room is always positive. It continues to be positive. It's never going to be negative. I don't know. They're just not going to bash their guys. I get the belief. You made a pick. You got a first-round selection in Xavier. You hope this guy works out. But you got to be honest with yourselves. Like, I tweeted this out. Bryce Young did more with less last year. You go from 13 points per game, 13.9, to over 20 points per game. You see the efficiency gains in passing yards. Rushing attack looks better. Just because you do those things doesn't mean you don't go out and make a decision to help your quarterback. It doesn't. You still have to be able to get him production. Get him players that can produce. Yak. So they did not rule out the idea of still drafting a receiver. We'll see. Now, conversation about offensive tackle, that has come up a few times. We know Taylor Moton is kind of in his own world with his contract. The idea of drafting a tackle, if the Panthers choose to do so, has nothing to do with Taylor Moton. I don't buy that. I think it does have something to do with it. Taylor Moton's 30 years old. Not old by any means, if we're being real, but from NFL terms, tackle position, still high performing. But the Panthers may be looking to the future at the tackle position for the right tackle, and hopefully they get things solidified with Icky at left tackle. As I talked about in this trade back scenario, Where the Panthers may benefit the most is the fact that you have all this news coming out with the Saints. The fact that the Saints are going to likely need a quarterback, or it's assumed, or maybe there's a chance. You hope a team is desperate. That's all we can do. Hope that Shedeur Sanders is still available. Maybe the Giants don't take him. Cam Ward will be off the board, or Jackson Dart, or the kid out of Louisville. Whoever your quarterback is that you want, you have to have a desire and need, like, oh man, Saints are going to get him. Saints are going to get him. We have to move up. It would actually be kind of funny, maybe, if the Panthers and Saints swapped in division picks, swap those, and then get a second or third, whatever. You could recoup hopefully a second back from the Saints. But when it comes to that, there has not been an uptick in trade calls regarding this news. That's right. Dan Morgan believes it only takes one team to fall in love with a player for a potential trade up. It does. One team, one player. You got to just love your guy. But as we talked about, this is the year where everyone wants to trade back. Top 30 visits. What is that used for? It's used to get to know players better personally and football IQ, running them through the gauntlet. Meanwhile, like I said, Jacksonville doesn't even bring guys in. It's baffling. Did get to talk a little bit about Colin Granger signing, opportunity to fill out the roster. He had a good workout and the recommendation that comes with it. We'll see. I went on ESPN Wilmington today talking to Randy Slack, and I don't personally have any expectations for Colin. I think it's nice, but we'll see how it lands. Now, probably there was a lot, we hone in on pick 8. Most popular topic is going to be Jaylen Walker. He said that Jaylen Walker is viewed, in his opinion, in their system, as an outside linebacker who can do a lot in their defense. Like, okay, I just don't know that I see him as a 100% edge, because he also did go back and talk a little bit about the importance of playing a player at one position. We can call him a hybrid, but you really need to have one position on the defensive side of the ball. You can try to learn edge, inside linebacker, but you need to stick to one. That's the only way you're going to be successful. It's the only way you're going to grow. This isn't Pop Warner. It's the best of the best. So, you got to find your niche. And I think Walker is just a little too small and undersized, in my opinion, to be the guy you're playing out there. If he's out there on the edge, I'm running at his side every time. I think he could do well in a certain scheme and fit with better all-around players where he can be a true hybrid. But when we talk about the Panthers who need a true edge, a true pass rusher, I don't know. Again, that's not saying I don't think Jaylen Walker can or will or could work out, but it does concern me. He does value, when talking about defense, speaking of Dan Morgan, defensive players with positional versatility, but you do run the risk of spreading them too thin. He did have a lot of praise for Jaylen Walker, though, with his character, football IQ, background as a coach's son, all those positive things. Of course, we know a lot of conversations happening between Dan Morgan and Dave Canales right now as they kind of come to this consensus about prospects, who to value, who they're going to pick. He did say they're comfortable taking a player viewed as a reach at number 8 if they can't trade back and aren't in love with other options. Like, oh my gosh. If we get stuck there, meaning if they are at number 8, they'll be ready for any scenario. Getting stuck. Isn't that wonderful? Prepared for a lot of options, the uncertainty of the top 7 picks, which is true. We just don't know. And I think this is one of those drafts where we don't really know how the top is going to unfold. 8 is a good spot, and you can get a really good player. Fully agree with that. He did acknowledge, which I've been saying since the very start, the importance of closing the gap from the first round and second round pick between 8-57. It's a lot of space in between there. You would be more beneficial to get a 12, 13, 14, 15, and an early second in combination with your pick at 57 to be able to do this. I mentioned it in the trade back video, the idea of trading back, but the calls will typically ramp up the night of the draft. There's going to be communication throughout the week leading up to it. Safety, as I've said, safety is an area they'd like to address in the draft, but they're not going to force it. They still want to prioritize the best available player. Okay, well, you get it. If you can get in the late first or early second, depending on trade back scenarios, get you a safety, get you an edge and a safety. That's just me. Just my opinion. Y'all can do whatever you want. He did say free agency eased some of the pressure to allow them to move into best available player. Also said the possibility of adding a tight end. That's on the table. Believes that the tight end group is actually deeper than the wide receiver group. And if you're into special teams, he said that he relies on Tracy Smith, the special teams coach, to evaluate the kickers. So if you're curious if they're thinking about a kicker, I don't know. I do think the Panthers still need to bring one in. I don't think Matthew Wright is the guy. Eddie Pinheiro still hasn't been picked up either. Curious to see where he does that. And I think they talked a little bit more about the player evaluations, moving schools, transfer portal. How does that impact it? And it sounds like it doesn't. Like, it's not going to impact it. It's just the day and age that we live in with these guys. So anyways, that does it, man. That is your pre-draft press breakdown of Dan Morgan. If you're interested in more detailed whatever, of course, you can drop a comment. Let me know. I am going to get caught up on comments. I promise you guys. I'm not out here ignoring you. And otherwise, we got a few other videos coming out. So, as always, this is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.